Oh, are you going to do the intro or you want me to?
Huh?
Do you want to do the intro or you want me to?
What do you mean by do the intro?
Oh, you're like, da 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 da. So I wasn't sure if you're like, and welcome back.
Oh, you want to do a role reversal this time?
Oh, that could be funny. I don't know.
I have an idea.
Welcome to the Gold Split Podcast.
I don't know. Maybe it's too cheesy. I was gonna be like, "Welcome to the Gold Split Podcast. I'm SquidBird, here with my co-host
CC Squid for a Neverender.
Never Squitter.
Never Squitter. That's true.
Actually, we can just keep this. This is pretty chill. I'm liking this vibe.
Fuck it. You'll do it live.
So today we have a Biglaw.
Oh, hello.
How's it going, dude?
It's going good. It's 1:15 in the morning.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah,
real
dude.
real
We're
podcast
DJs.
hours.
We're super degens. So it's like,
Legends for life.
if you want to reach us before 8 p.m., it's like, nah, dog, not going to happen. But 1 a.m., hell yeah.
You got us.
So yeah, I looked up. Well, first of all, I kind of wanted to mention this. The first time I heard of you, Biglaw, was from Keto. Whenever he told me that you modded yourself while he was logged in at GDQ.
Yeah, that's a good story. So like, I was just HDQ 2018 going to the practice room, and some fool had left his Twitch open, logged in at GDQ in the practice room. I was just like, oh, geez, someone could cause some serious damage. So I just modded myself, and then I posted a message in the Twitch Pulse thing, whatever it was, back when they had that, and just like, you shouldn't leave your your Twitch logged in at GDQ, and then I logged out.
Smart. At least you logged out afterwards, right? 'Cause
I mean, of course, like,
who knows?
I like, it's just the reasonable thing to do, as well as mod yourself. But
Exactly. One of the things that I love is that we always call you a big law.
yeah,
So that's a thing that happened that I brought to my community that my community has like gone and run with. Back in high school, I don't know why, but the football team would always go around and say a big boy, like someone would do something cool and they would go pat him on the back. Oh, big boy, let's go, right? And so I brought that to my stream because that's just something that kind of was like deep in my mind, from high school memories. So whenever I was streaming, every once in a while, I'd do something like I'd get a PB of yo, big boy, let's go. And so I had to put it into text at some point, and just saying big boy in text doesn't really fit. So I had to put a boy. And so that's just what's kind of stuck is that. And it just so happens your name is Biglaw, so it's like just the natural fit.
Yeah, it does work pretty well.
But I
definitely enjoy the meme.
Yeah, it's fun. I don't know what to tell you.
I looked up right before we did this all the games you run. I was familiar with Fable, The Lost Chapters, and Tony Hawk's Underground, as well as Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD. I believe you recently started running Portal glitchless.
Yeah, that's something I've just recently picked up.
And GTA 5, Saints Row, like 3 of the different games. Enter the Matrix, Stick RPG 2, We Happy Few, GTA Online, Star Wars Battlefront 2, which I want to talk to you about later. And what was most shocking to me was Club Penguin.
Yeah, okay, so I gotta be real. First of all, We Happy Few is not a real speedrun at all, because you just do one input and then that's the run.
Oh.
And secondly, I just did Club Penguin because, like, I don't know, it was fun. And also, like, the run is so hard, actually.
Really?
It's really input intensive. Like, my arm was dying. I grinded that for like an hour.
How does that even work?
So the goal is, like, the category is called 500 coins, and you have to get 500 coins, and the best way to do that is do this one mini game called Puffle Roundup, where you have to move your cursor around and like just sort of round up these puffles, which are like creatures in Club Penguin, and
Okay.
like each one has like individual like sensitivities to your cursor, so like, you gotta like constantly just micromanage your cursor and not move things too far or whatever. It's just really silly, and the game is dead now, so no one can run it unless you go
It's
to
a
like
beautiful thing.
unless you go to like a private server or something. But I don't think they accept those runs. So dead game.
Yeah, that was a weird thing. Whenever Club Penguin was dying, like more than anything, I saw so many like silly speedruns. Like
Yeah,
the get banned speedrun.
Yeah, the banned percent speedruns are pretty spicy, and well, like there's some serious tech that goes into that. Like getting the like while the web page is loading, you'd go into the address bar and then like write in your username, whatever your password. It's pretty spicy.
Yeah, it's weird because it's like you have to use your internet loading times and like the server, download times to actually like maximize. Like, oh, I need to check my email while I'm also like loading into the next screen of like my, user creation or whatever, and then do this, do that, do this. It's very, very technical, and people got really fast at it. I think they got in like a couple of minutes.
No, it's even faster. Like I think I can actually check the world record right now.
Forever.
The permanent world record is at 37 seconds.
Oh my gosh.
And there's some actually pretty cool tech. Like you'd hit tab and you could actually type underneath the dialogue that happens whenever you first get into the game. It's like there's like an introductory thing. It's like welcome to Club Penguin, whatever. But you just hit tab and then open up the chat box. You just type, butts or something really inappropriate.
The least appropriate thing, butts.
I know, just disgusting things like that.
Awful.
That actually sounds like meta as fuck. Just like the internet loading times and all that.
Yeah, I mean it's a browser, it's a Flash game, right? So
yeah, it's actually pretty interesting. But yeah, so let's go back a bit. How did you get into speedrunning?
Personally, I think like I think I was just like browsing Reddit or something like back in late 2014, 2015, and you just come across that speedrun thread for all the GDQ VODs. Like, oh, what's this? And then like you see a list of games that you like. It's like, oh heck, there's like I don't know. I'm just trying to think of a run from 2015 off the top of my head. Like I know that there was Tony Hawk's Underground 2, All Missions Classic or All Goals Classic, done by I believe it was. I want to say it was Plamato or it was Muffin, one of those two. And that was like a pretty cool run to see, just because it was really meaty, because Shrek was being just the character played, and All Star was on every single time. It was terrible. But like it was a good run. Like no question about it. But like it was so fucking meaty. Sorry, what's the profanity sort of?
who fucking cares?
Okay.
Yeah.
We don't give a shit.
I mean, I usually self-censor pretty hard, but yeah. So there's that thread, and then like I'd watch Seth Bling back in the day.
Oh, same.
And yeah, and like he would be doing his SMW 11 exits, and then there was also the big hype around the code injection stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was some pretty cool stuff back then. I was kind of disappointed that like the race submitted for SGQ last year, the code injection versus 11 exit race didn't get accepted, but oh well.
Yeah.
I
think it's kind of funny where a lot of my early influences with speedrunning were like really strange. Off the top of my head, I used to watch Minecraft videos, and Seth Bling has like those really crazy Minecraft videos that he does about redstone and stuff.
Yeah,
he's a programmer, so he can do all that stuff.
Yeah, and like funny. Well, I already mentioned Seth Bling, but he made like that Atari emulator, and it runs at 1 frame a second, and he did an extra speedrun of it.
I do remember hearing about that. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I did see that he posted that video.
Yeah, his dragster speedrun took like 11 minutes or something like that. But like the leaderboards are based on in-game time, so he tied world record.
There you go.
It's pretty crazy. Just get an emulator in Minecraft, and then you can get world record easy.
Yep.
Yeah, take that, Todd Rogers.
But so one of the reasons that he got me into speedrunning was so I saw that he did SMW 11 exit, but then he also did like Katamari.
Oh yeah, those Katamari streams were just so comfy, and it's a really good run, especially with the recent release Katamari Damacy.
The reroll.
I actually just got it. That's like the first Katamari game I own.
I already did a speedrun of it. I'm really bad, but I did one.
How do you save time in that game?
So you can exit the stage once you hit the mark.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and then it still lets you continue. That's how you save the most time. But there's that. So I remember seeing him do Katamari runs and SMW runs. But then also, I used to watch a lot of Rooster Teeth stuff, and they had a podcast called The Patch, and one of the persons, Meg Turney, like at the end of the episode, they're like, "Hey, I want to show you. I've been picking up the speedrunning thing, and I want to show you." Like, she did a Link to the Past with the exploration glitch.
Really?
Yeah, and so which is just like it's like a 10-minute run where you go into the castle and then you like save and quit and then you jump through the wall and then you walk to the end, right? And it's weird that some of those weird influences, like I didn't see Cosmo, I didn't see Siglemic, I didn't see like any of these big names, Trihex or any of these big speedrunners from back in the day. I saw fucking Meg Turney do a stupid run and Seth Bling do Katamari, and that's what got me into it.
Yeah, like I was kind of late, I guess, figuratively getting into the whole scene of speedrunning. Like I didn't get into it until like 2014, 2015. Like, yeah, I was watching Seth Bling do his Katamari and his SMW. Whereas like a lot of people, they have their older influences, but unlike some people here, we don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we know what your origin story is?
Basically, so I think I didn't mention it. Maybe I did, but basically, I just saw Super Mario 64 on Twitch one day, and I was wondering why the fuck is a game that's so old have like thousands of viewers right now? And then I'm pretty sure like the top two streamers that were streaming the game at the time were Punky and Siglemic. And I was just watching and I was like, whoa, this is like something completely different. And then I didn't have internet for 2 years, so like I just like didn't really think about it. And then once I got internet again, like I saw a summoning salt video on Mario. And then I was like, oh yeah, this is a thing. And then I started watching Punkay, and then I was like, I could probably do this shit. And yeah, long story short, that's pretty much how I got into it. Super, like I guess basic introduction into it, like arguably like one of the most popular speed games. But
it's popular for a reason.
Yeah, it was like a huge part of my childhood, and I always loved playing the game, and speed running it made me appreciate it on a whole new level, and just sort of refreshed the game for me, and gave me more reason to play it. So it's really cool, but I also hate that game. It's fucking annoying.
I mean, that's the case with just about any speedrun if you go at it hard enough.
Yeah, don't get me started on Pokemon Snap right now. I'm having a bad time with that game, but yeah, it's overall it's been like a huge positive in my life, and I'm really glad that I picked it up.
Yeah.
But I actually wanted to ask you, you have a lot of speed games in your resume. Have you noticed that as you pick up more games, do you find it easier to like get into new games, like and pick up like speed strats? Do you see any like crossover with like skills or strategies, or just like getting a sense of what it takes to go fast in a video game?
I mean, having like speedrun for quite a while, like it does help you. Like, you have like a mentality going into a new game where you have to realize that you have to take time to figure out new strats, and just you're not going to be perfect going into it. That's never going to be the case. Like, you can play a game that's similar, like in that same series, like me playing Tony Hawk's Underground, then going into Underground 2. But
Yeah.
it's like just about every game is going to have its own quirks and their own tricks, and it's always fun picking up a new game because it's just a new experience, and you get to learn and just kind of envelop yourself in the game and just figure it out and become more comfortable with it.
Yeah, whenever we do like a 12-hour challenge, or sometimes I even play a game casually, I'll be like, oh man, this could be fun to speedrun, and I kind of replay parts. I go back, I'm like, oh, what if I did this? Oh, okay, yeah, and I'm like, I start kind of getting the groove of it, and I find myself whenever I play games, some part of me is kind of like, what would a speedrun of this be like? And then I kind of do it in my head a little bit. So, as someone who hasn't played as many games as you, but has still played, like, I've done like 5 or 6 or 7 different speedruns. You do kind of pick up on little things like that. A lot of times I'll even go look up leaderboards, like after I finish playing the game. Just be like, oh, what's the time for that? Oh, okay. I might look into this.
Also, I just noticed something about my run on my Enter the Matrix run. It somehow got changed where my video is apparently not there, and now my in-game time is 2.5 hours. So I don't know. I probably have to get that sorted out real quick.
You should probably get that sorted at some point.
Yeah, it's like, my run didn't take that long.
I wonder if that happened whenever there was that hack on speedrun.com.
Oh, no. I mean, it only targeted, like really
Star Fox.
It only targeted pretty big boards, and I actually know it's like people who kept the same password from XSplit, like back in 2015 when they had a leak or something like that. So,
speaking of Enter the Matrix, you are always in a marathon. I feel like I see you all the time doing marathon runs. Well, maybe not all the time, but I've definitely seen you do multiple marathon runs. So which marathons have you run in?
I actually have a Google Doc. So I have a spreadsheet. I can actually drop it in here real quick if that would fancy you guys. But
sure.
Yeah, I've ran at dozens of marathons. It's slightly out of date, I think, but actually, yeah, maybe. But God, probably my favorites, like hands down, speedrun just in general is my run at Smash the Record 2017, the Tony Hawk's Underground run, because that run just went phenomenally, and I had some really good commentary behind me with Shockwave and Ermelin, both good friends of mine who are Borderlands 2 speedrunners and other runners as well, like Pat and Time. And yeah, it was just like probably my first big speedrun event, and also, gosh, bless your soul.
Thank you.
But yeah, like,
I'm seeing some impressive ones here. I see NASA.
yeah.
I mean, it's an in-person marathon, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Same as No Reset.
Yeah, No Resets. Game finished adequately. Those are in person. I should probably mark these as in person or online, but just Smash Record is probably my big one. Like, just big favorite marathon that I've ever been a part of, just because one, pretty big audience behind it, like online, and also go out to California. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous place. Would love to come back someday.
Yeah, Smash the Record is an interesting one because it's like it's half speedrunning and half like Smash Bros. So it's like two of my favorite worlds combined.
Yeah, it's also a bit of a shame that it's no longer running, but
No, it's not.
no, unfortunately. But just kind of understandable because like the staff are working on other things like Calathon or Cherry working for Red Bull now. So
That's right. Oh, damn, dude.
yeah, I mean, I got my cool jersey hanging out right next to me, so
That's true.
it is.
Rep that jersey. It's
It
kind of
is-
cool they give people jerseys for that. Like,
Yeah,
like what if GDQ gave people jerseys?
I mean, they gave runners special shirts this time around, so
That's
they're
true.
getting on that. But yeah, besides Smash Record, like I'm always a big fan of being a part of like no reset events because I'm pretty good friends with G Virus and the other Quebec speedrunners. They're always welcoming and always put on a very good show, high quality.
So speaking of like working on marathons, I understand you volunteer a lot at GDQ.
Yeah, I do volunteering at GDQs, and I have actually done like restreaming for online marathons and stuff. So
Awesome.
You were part of Voltathon?
yeah, I did. I worked on three marathon, three Voltathons. Yeah, I worked on Voltathon Sparked. Like I kind of like just kind of impromptu helped out with that. Like I wasn't official, and then Voltathon Charged, and then
Amped?
Voltathon Amped. Yeah, those two I specifically worked on, and Amped I did like assets and scheduling, restreaming a whole lot of stuff. It was a very crazy weekend.
I imagine. I've thought about maybe hosting my own marathon, but I don't know if I'd do it for a long time.
I mean, honestly, like just if you're ever gonna run an online marathon, like just the more people, the merrier, because that means you get to take breaks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't want to do like a 9-hour shift through the night to cover it while someone else is asleep.
Yeah, there may have been a point where someone did their run and then both of us were asleep. So just had like just black screen for like half an hour, just like oops.
That's not so bad. Only half an hour.
Yeah, we got back on schedule. It was still a crazy time.
What was your best marathon experience and your worst marathon experience?
Probably go hand in hand, quite frankly. So Smash Record, my Enter the Matrix run, it was kind of a disaster. Like, so,
Yeah, I was looking at the doc and I was just like looking at the two games and like, let me look at this again because you wrote, where was it at? But I noticed like both games were just completely different. Not gonna lie, this one was a train wreck. From dying after the post office and not having the patch ended up making me go overestimate almost 10 minutes. Crash at the end of the third last level also didn't do me any favors. And then Tony Hawk's, honestly, this is probably my favorite marathon run I've ever done. Incredibly clean run with good commentary from my friends. So
yeah, so it's just my little footnote there kind of explains what went down with Enter the Matrix, which is really unfortunate. Like it's a good game, but I didn't have the patch necessary to do the speed tech that saves a lot of time. So that happened, and then
Was that on? I guess on your fault, or was it?
it was kind of my bad, and I had asked the speedrun Discord, like I asked like Thursday and Two Worlds to like pretty good runners in the Enter the Matrix group. Like it's not very populated leaderboard, so we're all pretty tight knit. But it's like, hey guys, I got the patch. Hello guys. I was like, it's like, please help.
Oh yeah, it's pretty bad. Just desperate. It doesn't work out.
Yeah, I still tried to make the run as good as I could, but it's just when your speed tech is not there, you just can't really do much about it. And like the speed tech in question is I believe the patch is 1.1 of the game, where your like in-game driving speed is based upon your frame rate. So if you just have a high frame rate, then your cars go stupidly fast.
That in itself saves 10 minutes.
Yeah, because there's there's 4 driving levels in total throughout the game, and 2 of them are particularly long, and just having the absurd speed in which you can drive just saves oodles and oodles of time.
Whenever you go into a marathon to do a run, do you... I assume since you've done so many that you must, but do you ever like think of worst case scenarios and like what you would do to sort of like remedy the situation if it comes up in a run?
I mean, I go into the marathon and I just think of it's just another run. Like, you're there, just try and do the best you can. If you have people there on commentary, great, because a lot of the time it's difficult to perform and commentate very well at the same time. It all depends on the game as well. So like if you're running a bit of a slower game like Fable, then it's a little bit easier to commentate. But if you're running something like Portal or Tony Hawk's Underground, then you have to dedicate a lot of your focus to your execution. So, but yeah, like I just go into marathons thinking, I'm just going to do a run and I'm going to hope people enjoy it because I enjoy it.
Right on.
That's good. Squid, have you ever done any marathon runs?
I did the one for the Syrian relief, the hurricane relief, and I went into that run because like this is the reason why I bring it up. I went into that run, so I was running Pokemon Snap. I was having a really bad time with Magneton at that time, and I was like, what do I do if I miss Magneton? And I was like, oh, I can just get Charizard in Volcano. And like thinking of like that backup, I was like, you know what, that might be actually really cool to like just not purposely fail the run, but if I, you know, if I miss Magneton, it's like, oh, you get to see Charizard, which is not something you get to see usually in any percent.
Mm-hmm. So
like it just so happened that during my marathon run, I messed up Magneton, sure enough, and I went for Charizard. And yeah, like I kind of went in there being like, you know, if this goes wrong, then I have these things that I can do. So it was really like kind of reassuring having, you know, some sort of backup plan, because with Snap, like you have to reach those. It's a different kind of speed game. You have to reach those thresholds.
You have to hit the point totals in order to get the necessary things like your apples, your stun balls.
Stun balls, yes.
Are they called stun balls?
They're called pester balls.
Pester balls.
It's a stupid name. I agree.
Flashbang.
Stun balls.
I just like thought of a ball that you throw at a peak, like, or at a Pokemon, and it just like shocks them, and they're just like spazzing out.
Shock grenade.
That'd be a completely different game.
Hadouken. Yeah, I mean, I submit a game with confidence and just knowing if I mess up somewhere, I know how to just remedy the situation. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. There was at GDQ there was a run. I was a bit more privy to it because I was volunteering and I heard the background information. But this one guy like came into the event. He signed into the event like the night before his run, and he didn't bring his game. And it was Divinity Original Sin 2.
Yeah,
and that's like a 40 gig game.
I heard many things about that run.
And the staff were furious with this guy. Like, you're goddamn lucky that there is an offline run, like not an offline run, but like it's Final Fantasy, right? We don't need download power for this. Like you can dedicate the computer space. Go download your game right now and be ready. And then the next day during his run, it's a pretty short run, and like 10 minutes in, he got to a part and he accidentally saved over his quick save that he needed to do the trick, and he's like, I can't complete this now, so I guess mercy kill. It's like, you motherfucker! You gave so much stress to the staff team, and then you couldn't finish your run. It's like, there's not a lot of games that have that sort of like, that cutoff point of, if you can't do this, then the run is dead. So it's good that there's not that, but I don't know, that's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, like I heard just like he's like 13 minutes into like the 22-minute run, 22-minute long run. He's like, oh well, I need to do this over, and like people are like, oh okay then. And then he starts doing the run again, and it's like, no.
Yeah, you don't get to restart the whole thing.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate that happened, but I think that's the only run that had to be mercy killed the entire week, which is pretty good.
It's the only one I ever heard of that week, which is good. I mean, 1 out of like 150 runs or whatever is pretty. It's pretty
like
track record.
140 something, but it's unfortunate, but still, good job, GTQ. No mercy killing you, except that one.
I actually just thought of my friend Lovebot did a run for what's the ESA, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's the marathon. Yeah, he was doing I think he was doing a run for that marathon, and he runs Yoshi's Story. He does the melon 1 lap, and he had an incentive to do pink Yoshi, and in Yoshi's Story, like, it's faster just to pick the green one because you don't have to like move the cursor at all. You just pick it and go. And, it's so ingrained in his muscle memory that he kept going in with green Yoshi. And then like mid-run, he'd be like, fuck, I forgot to choose the pink Yoshi. So he would just like literally like kill the Yoshi and then start the whole level over with pink Yoshi like multiple times.
That's
and like,
beautiful.
And he was like, dude, like, I hope that run wasn't bad. And I was like, nah, dude, like, that was probably one of the most entertaining marathon games or runs I've ever seen. Because he's just like, oh, fuck it, I gotta reset. Like, I didn't choose pink Yoshi.
I mean, it's the thing with incentives. People paid money for it.
And honestly, like, at ESA, I feel like that kind of a bit more tolerated because ESA is pretty laid back.
Yeah.
I think the crowd really enjoyed just, crap, and then just do as you do to all Yoshis and make it Sudoku.
Yeah, and like, the cool thing is he was like less than a minute under estimate, so he like barely squeezed it in. He like lost probably like 5 minutes just to like picking pink Yoshi, like mid, running the level. But it was like still impressive that he was able to just sort of like do that and still complete the run with an estimate.
Honestly, he should have just like asked like the stream team, just like, hey, could you just like put a pink filter over the game real quick?
That'd be hilarious.
They probably would have done it. ESA is like that.
Yeah, I'd like to go to an ESA someday, but it's a little bit out of the way, like, just across the Atlantic Ocean. But
it's across the pond.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could probably go to one if I ever visit my family in Poland. Like, I remember one year, so I was a huge metalhead in high school, and my favorite bands were like Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, and Anthrax. And they never played a show together ever in like their 30 years or whatever being bands. And it just so happened that the first time they all played on the same stage was in Poland. So I told my parents, I was like, hey, can I go visit the family like this summer? And they're like, sure. But like in my mind, like all I wanted to do was see that concert.
I mean, I can't blame you. Like, metal's metal. You got to go to the metal.
Hell yeah, dude. But it's just like, yeah, I can go see family, but dude, there's this concert happening.
And it's so metal.
It was epic. Like, I lost the ability to walk for a solid day. Just because you're like standing outside and just walking, because it was on an airfield.
Oh my god.
Oh shit.
So like my knees are really bad. Like I have something going on with my knees. I just don't know exactly what it is. I've gotten like a bunch of diagnoses. Is that the plural form?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, like I just like never really did anything about it. And I guess like that day my legs were like, fuck you, dude. You're like standing and walking around way too much. But it was worth it. Like
Oh, definitely.
it was historical. So it was really cool to be a part of that. But yeah.
Was it hard to convince your family to send you over there? Like at the right time, you're like, but it has to be this weekend.
No, because like anytime we would go, it would usually be during the summer. And it just so happened that the show was during the summer. So I was like, hey, can we like go to Poland like around this day? Like, yeah.
Around this Saturday.
I actually think that's the first time I went by myself.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never really traveled alone when I was a kid. I know that the one time I can really think of is my grandmother had a little seaside cottage up in Oregon, right? So we live in Texas, right? And Texas is really hot in the summer, and my grandma hated the heat, and so Oregon was much cooler, and so and during the summertime she would just go up there and hang out, and so for a reason they're like, okay, CC, little CCNeverender. I was like 15 or 16. No, I must have been 16 because I had a driver's license or whatever you call it. And my cousin was also about the same age as me. We both of us went up there, and so it was just the two of us and grandma, which was really weird because we had never like gone on vacation together like alone. And we have other cousins who are also our age, and it was just weird how the two of us were the only ones that were picked to go. But great week. We had a lot of fun. But yeah, weird times.
Yeah, honestly, traveling alone is pretty cool. Like
It is.
I went to when I went to SGDQ last year. I flew alone, and it was pretty nice. You just like you don't have to worry about like other people like waiting for them to use the bathroom or like trying to catch a flight or anything. Like it's really stress free. But then again, like traveling with people is also cool because then you can hang out. But I like to sleep on planes, so it worked out.
Yeah, I mostly just take buses everywhere because everything's in busing distance. Well, not everywhere, but AGT next year, nah.
I'm actually considering taking a road trip with my car up to SGDQ this year.
Ooh.
I'm just like thinking of what the gas prices would look like for that.
I know that my buddy and I looked into it. He was like, "Dude, why do you take a plane? Just drive." I'm like, "Do you know that's like a 19-hour drive or something?
Yeah.
Some ridiculous amount." Like, yeah, like we could, but it literally be all day sitting in a car, and it's like, what would you save on a plane ticket? Like maybe $100. It's like, well. And you have wheels when you get there. That's the best part.
That's also like something that is really appealing to me. Is like I don't have to call Uber or anything. I can just drive places.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about some Mexican Uber driver who doesn't speak English trying to take us to the train station.
Yeah, Biglaw and I have been on adventures. Oh gosh, yeah, that guy really didn't speak any English, did he?
Nah.
He was a great, nice guy, but not a lick of English.
Nope.
Luckily, I took 3 years of Spanish, and I remembered what right and left are, which is derecha and izquierda. That's right and left. So we had to direct him because I guess his maps or whatever on his phone weren't working as well. We're like, okay, train station. And we're like, estación de train. And he's like, I'm like, okay, metro. And I'm like, okay, it's like Smith Street. And he'd be like, what? Is it ¿Qué, señor? And I'm like, derecha. Okay, now. And he'd be like, oh, okay.
And I'm just like sitting there, just like all Canadian, like just like, oh, yeah.
Luckily, we made it in one piece. So
Yeah.
it's a shame. We wanted to go to downtown this year, but because of the government shutdown thing,
Yeah, just nothing was happening.
all the museums were closed, which is a real bummer. So, oh well.
Yeah.
We went last year or whatever, so that didn't really bother me that much. You know what's funny is that whenever we went to DC, I was talking to my buddy. My buddy lived in DC for like 6 months, and he was telling me about all these great food places. He's like, "Yo, you got to try this one place over on this street. You get this another place over on this street. If you look for something cheap, there's this other place. There's a little hole in the wall that's really great." And then I'm like, "Hey, Biglaw, what do you want to go eat?" And you're like, "Oh, there's a McDonald's." Like, God damn it!
I mean, it was a safe choice. Like, you got your McDoubles. You stuffed a McDouble in your jacket, then you just ate it while we're walking by the freaking Washington Monument.
That's true. I did save a few.
That was a very American moment. I shed a tear of freedom.
Reach into my jacket, and pull out a good old McDouble. Pocket burger.
God bless America. Yeah. GDQs are always fun. Any speedrun event is always a good time regardless of size. Like,
have you go ahead?
It's always funny how people that aren't super into speedrunning think the event is only watching speedruns.
no.
But then like you go there, and for me personally, like 99.9% of the time I was not in the streaming room. I was just like hanging out with people.
Like, personally, when I'm at a GDQ, I'm going to be hanging with my friends, and I'll watch their runs, and I'll do my volunteering whenever that's necessary.
Yeah, same.
Like, if you go to GDQ to watch the runs, then like just watch it on YouTube. Like, what are you doing?
There are some like real like stream room monsters. I say that monsters not in a loving way, but like people who like literally they just get up, go into the stream room, stay there all day, go back to their room, go to sleep, go back in. Like, there are people that live to be in the crowd cam.
Looking at you, DS Dad.
DS
No.
Dad.
I actually talked with DS Dad once. He's a really cool dude.
Seems like it, but I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I couldn't sit there and just play on I think it's not technically a DS, but I couldn't play on like a game like that. Just and not. I don't know. I would just get bored. I'd rather just go to something else.
Yeah. Like, go to the arcade and play that really BS freaking beer pong game.
I love that game, Scotty or whatever it's called.
Yeah, you cheated at it.
I loved it. It was so good.
You cheated.
Squid, do you know what we're talking about?
No.
Okay. So there was this game that it was like kind of like the ones where you shoot the basketball into the hoop.
Yeah.
So kind of imagine that, right? But instead of the hoop, there's like a big funnel in the middle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there are these like drum pads, essentially, like all around the thing, like 6 of them. They're all facing different directions, or not? They're all facing towards the middle, but all at different angles and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a little pad that at like the where your hands are, right where your waist is, and you have to bounce a ping pong ball off of that pad and then hit a designated target and then bounce it into the funnel.
Oh wow.
And so it's not crazy sophisticated because it would just have like a touch sensor. So if you hit it with the ping pong ball, it would register that you hit it. And then it would just have a thing if it went through the tunnel. If it went through the funnel, then you're good. But it's really fucking hard.
It
like,
really is.
Like bouncing off the table and then hitting one panel or paddle and then into the thing, not hard.
No.
That one's pretty easy. But then hitting 2 paddles, so like table, bounce, funnel, that's hard. And then it gets even harder where it's like hit 3 panels, like in a circle. Yeah. And it's like, this shit's getting insane. Like and some of the angles are like impossible. No matter what angle you throw it at, it's impossible to make it in.
Yeah, like you get like the that gif of Zach Galifianakis, whatever his name is, like with numbers and stuff, just from the Hangover. Like it's like you need to like get the galactic brain to hit that shot.
Yeah, and it's so crazy. But so what I loved doing was I could never do both. I could hit all the panels, but not the funnel, or I could hit like some of the panels and the funnel. So what I would do is I would get 2 ping pong balls, one on my left, one on my right. Throw out the one, I hit all the panels, it wouldn't go in, and then I just chunk one straight down the court. And it was like, Scotty, you did it. I'm like, yes. Dude, hacker man extreme.
What a cheater. Real
Shake
sweet
my hand.
rats.
It's so much fun. Lemon would watch me there and he'd be like, you cheater, why? I'm like, haha, I did it. I win. So speaking of marathons, I was gonna ask if you guys had seen Pace, which was just recently announced.
I did hear
Yeah.
about it.
GSA is essentially putting on a league finals for like I think Odyssey, SM64, and Celeste. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
which is pretty neat.
But
But
I
it's an
think Mario
in-person.
Kart Double Dash as well.
That sounds right. There's probably a couple other ones that I don't know. I didn't look all the way into it, but I kind of read like the basic page, which I thought was pretty cool. I wonder if that'll pick up because this is kind of a topic that I wanted to ask at some point, but it's kind of a mixture of like speed running, but not as like a grassroots charity event, but as like a competition, as like almost like an esport, right? And I thought that was cool. It's kind of cool. It's one of the first of its kind, really, because in general, most marathons you go to are like, hey, we're raising money for Prevent Cancer Foundation, Doctors Without Borders. Travis Project was Voltathon. A couple other ones are like, what's the one that ESA is like Save the Kids or?
I think so. Yeah.
They did like Movember.
Yeah,
like
there's that too. I don't think it's called Save the Kids, but it's something to that effect.
No, I think it is actually Save the Kids.
Maybe it is.
I can check, but
no, it's not important. The point is that that's generally like the main drive of those events is to do that. But this one's more of like a hey, we want to like legitimize speedrunning as like as a sporting event. And so, we have any thoughts on that?
I think it's really cool. Like, especially for Mario 64, which is super competitive.
Mm-hmm.
And like, there's Blue Esports, which has like picked up a few players, and then you have CLG picking up Cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Just
like Noble, Beast Coast, those guys.
Yeah. So like esports is already kind of making its way into speedrunning. And I think making an event like that is really cool. It's really interesting to think about seeing something that you're used to seeing purely online to now being a live event. So you'll have competitors right next to each other, like in a league, like speedrunning against each other. Like I can imagine how different the dynamic would be. Like we've seen Cheese race Punkay last SGDQ, and then they've done a whole bunch of GDQs where they had races, but that was just more of like a showcase race. This is like, actually, I need to win this tournament.
Yeah, there's something
live
on the line
in person.
Yeah.
And I'm really interested to see how that pans out, and looking forward to watching it. I've thought about going, but it's in April, right?
I do believe so.
Yeah,
sounds right.
It like if I'm planning on going to SGDQ, it's like way too close.
Mm-hmm.
So like I have to sort of think about what would I rather go to, SGDQ or Pace, and I'm like kind of like in the boat where I'm like SGDQ I have more time to save up for, so I'm probably just gonna do that. And depending on how Pace goes this year, if they do another one, I'd probably be interested in going to that. But
yeah, it's like a 2-month gap between the two events, so you gotta really just decide on one. I personally would go for GDQ, or alternatively, if it interests you more, like RPG Limit Break or Calathon or something like that, because those are happening in both in May, I think. No, Calathon happens in March, and RPG Limit Break in May. So
yeah, I don't know if it might be a good idea to pass on the first one. You know what I mean? Because like sometimes new events, they haven't ironed out all the kinks yet. So if you go, it might be kind of like a weird experience. And then the second one, it's going to be where they're like, oh yeah, we know exactly what we're doing now. We remember what we did last time. We're going to fix all the problems, and we're going to do the next one's going to be like legit. And so if they're really close to each other, like personally, I would also say go to SGDQ, mainly because it's a week long. as opposed to like a weekend, I think.
Yeah, I think they're 4 days or
Yeah,
5 days.
something like
But
that.
like another thing about pace is like a few Mario runners like Paracusia that like live, overseas, like in Australia or in Europe, are coming to pace, and I think like the top people who place in the league online get flown out or something like that. So
Oh wow.
Para is already planning on going and stuff like that, and he had to decide that he's going to pace instead of GDQ. So like it's kind of like like I won't get to see these people, but I mean there's always future events, and I've been to SGDQ before. I had a really good time. Like I know plenty of people that are already planning to go, and I know like 100% that if I go this year, like it's going to be fun. So I'm just kind of like looking forward to that as far as going to an event. But Ace, like if I had the means and all that, I would definitely be interested in going.
Yeah, I feel like if I were more local to it, I wouldn't I wouldn't object to going to it.
Right.
I think it'd be a good time. But the fact that it's down in where HHQ was this year, it's a bit of a hike there. So
For real, like I think it's good that we're seeing speedrunning being picked up as an esport, because that means more exposure to what speedrunning is, and it could generate a lot of interest in like maybe some Smash, because I think VG Bootcamp is actually
Yeah, they're
they're partnering. Yeah. So maybe some Smash people will see that and be like, huh, I want to try out speedrunning. Like I remember Mewtwo King like even coming into Punk Ace chat one day, and he was thinking about like, or just sort of, what's the word, just like throwing out the idea of like speedrunning, and like if he would do it. And
yeah, a couple other top runners like a PPMD and I think Armada as well have talked about doing speedruns. I think Armada plays Odyssey a little bit.
yeah,
But I definitely think it's good exposure for speedrunning. And esports in general is one of those things where a lot of big companies and stuff like that, like, there's a lot of money in esports.
yeah,
Obviously most of it's in like, Dota and League and I don't know, like Counter-Strike and stuff. But I think just as we keep going, we're going to see more of these smaller games hit big numbers. And
right.
I love that shit, so I'm all about it.
yeah, and I guess like on the topic of like speedrunning and esports and exposure and all that, like No Reset, they're actually like officially partnered with DreamHack. So like
Oh.
they do events at their at like the DreamHacks, like DreamHack Atlanta, Montreal. They had people working at a DreamHack Winter. Like it's just they're kind of riding that, and like they're just kind of bringing speedrunning out to the public eye, like at those events, and it's pretty nice because you both get to show off the local speedrunning talent, and like just showing people who are attending. It's like speedrunning is a thing. You can check it out. We got our audience here. Come by sometime if you're not too busy doing whatever at this NerdCon. which it's gonna be real. Like that's what what DreamHack is like.
Well, that's advertised, right? It's like this is like a week-long LAN party with just crazy shit.
I mean, they're like a weekend, but
I think main DreamHack is like a week long, isn't it?
no, all the DreamHack events just go on during a weekend.
Is it just a weekend?
Yeah,
that sounds okay. Maybe I'm misremembering.
But yeah, like I remember seeing in the promotional tweet for a DreamHack Atlanta, like they had a part of like their promotional video, whatever. They had speedrunning in there listed, so it's just like, what? That's cool.
Yeah, it's good. We're getting some exposure.
Exposure.
Explosion. Speedrunning is blown up.
Speaking of blowing up, you can blow up stuff in Star Wars Battlefront 2.
I was gonna lob you. Like, I think you had a question for Biglaw, and then you're like, "Here's the segue of the century."
Like, I love that game, and I haven't played the new Battlefront series, but I got kind of turned off on it.
Yeah.
Like based on like controversy that I've seen about it. Like I've seen gameplay; it looks fun, but I just have really fond memories of playing Battlefront 2. And I was just wondering, like, what do you think of that game? And comparing it to the new ones, if you've played them at all.
I have not played the new ones, no, and I honestly have zero interest in playing them just based off the footage that I've seen and just general controversy surrounding it with how they deal with unlocks and whatever. So it's not really within my realm of interest. But Battlefront 2 is just one of those games I played so much as a kid. Like, like got that cheat. It's like up, left, down, 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 left, up, left, right. Get that infinite ammo. And like I probably just put hundreds and hundreds of hours into it casually as a kid, and picking it up as a speed game.
How's that?
It's a pretty skill based speed game because you need to have a good shot because you're going to be playing as like you're using the sniper fairly often because it is the fastest it has the fastest base speed of all the classes, so you'll be playing as it fairly often. But yeah, like the first bit of the game is kind of auto-scrolling, unfortunately, but there's still a lot of like intense action segments where you're just clearing areas as fast as you can, running through crowds of enemies, hoping you don't die. Like,
yeah,
I do recommend picking it up if you had a good interest in the game as a kid, because there's some cool tech like an infinite sprint and just death warps.
Yeah, I remember playing that game, and I loved like the part in the campaign where it was kind of like in between the prequels and the original series, like in lore wise, and you would be like the clone troopers, I think, against the rebels. Like they had some like crazy matchups that you never really consider, but I always thought it was cool that you could do like these sort of story missions where it's you're playing against different factions as a faction that you wouldn't normally expect to play as against them. And
I think that was actually more. That might have been a bit of like Galactic Conquest, but I know in the story there is one mission in particular where you're on Mustafar, and you're playing as the Empire, and you're taking down the droids because of some guy, I don't know, he's like just using the facility to make droids as a army or whatever, and you just you destroy him because you just use a mine and then blow him up when he spawns in. So it's like pretty hard boss fight, just instantly kill him.
I played that game a lot on console and on PC, and I remember I stopped playing it because I'm bringing it back to Poland, but this might have actually been the same time that I went to go see that concert. I brought my laptop with the game on it, and then my cousin was playing it, and he doesn't understand English, so he clicked on my file and pressed delete. And I put so much time into that file, and I was just kind of like, well, fuck.
It breaks you.
Like I was like,
all the medals, the commendations, they're gone.
Like I was working, I remember playing that game and working so hard to get all the medals and stuff that I could, and it all that progress, all that work that I put into it was just it was gone, in an instant. So, but yeah, I mean, I still love that game. I remember I'd pick it up casually every once in a while and just do. I forgot what map it was, but you could do the heroes versus heroes.
Yeah, you do Assault on Mos Eisley.
Yeah, that's the one.
And you just hang out in the bar, just have the
Yes.
yeah. Like, thank you, George Lucas, for giving us something good out of Star Wars.
So, do you enjoy the Star Wars films at all?
I do enjoy them. I watched every single one except for the Solo movie.
I haven't seen the Solo one either.
I heard mixed things about that.
Same.
But yeah, I feel like the new trilogy is doing the franchise justice. Don't ask me to, like, rate the Star Wars movies, because like I'd probably have to rewatch them to properly rate them all. But I'd say they're all pretty good. One has its flaws for obvious reasons, but yeah, I don't know. I'm a fan of the Star Wars movies. I'd say they're pretty good. Solid watch.
Yeah, I still don't know how to feel about the new ones. I remember I was watching The Last Jedi, and I fell asleep during it, which to me is like,
That's not a good sign.
when I think of Star Wars, it's like, like my mind, like no matter how tired I am, it's just like, holy shit, Star Wars! Like my imagination starts going wild, and I don't know. I just felt like the movie was good, but it just like the pacing was me, I guess, and I feel like they wasted Luke, but
Yeah,
that's just my opinion.
I think that maybe Mark Hamill just didn't want to do Star Wars, but
Yeah, it could be a thing as well.
but
I know for sure Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford.
Yeah, I was about to say Harrison Jones because there's a card in Hearthstone that's based off of Indiana Jones and Harrison Ford called Harrison Jones.
I see.
So I always get it mixed up.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
yeah.
I felt there's some pretty good scenes in The Last Jedi. Some
No,
probably unnecessary, but
it was definitely like one of the most beautiful Star Wars movies to look at.
oh yeah.
Just visually, for sure. It was just like really cool to see. But yeah. No, I have the unpopular opinion that I actually like episode 1. And I know it's like super controversial, but I don't know. I enjoy it a lot.
I mean, I'm not gonna rag you for liking a movie. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not really about like ragging on people. Like, just if you like something, cool. If it's like illegal, you like it, maybe not. But like, I'm pretty just generally easygoing about what people's interests are. So
I just find it funny how heated people get about that movie.
yeah, just like, oh my god, Jar Jar's literally the fucking devil. It's like, no, he's just like a really bad character. But oh well. You got Master Bates out of Star Wars, so just laugh at that.
Yeah, I think we could start wrapping it up here.
All right.
So, CC?
Before we move on, yeah. I wanted to ask you a question, Biglaw.
Mm-hmm.
What's your deal?
My deal?
What's your deal, dude?
My deal about what?
Answer the question however you like. I just like asking that question.
My deal is that I had a very in-depth conversation with Howie Mandel, and I chose Case 18, and I took that deal. It contained $25.
Deal or no deal? So it contained $25.
Yeah, it was pretty bad case. Should have gone for number 13.
Yeah.
I love asking that question because what's your deal is such an aggressive question, but I don't mean it in that way. I just like what's your deal, dude? I just want to know what you. I just don't. I want to know what you're about, but I like just hearing the responses people give.
Yeah.
With that in mind, what is your deal, like Biglaw? What are you out here doing?
Like, in what sphere? Like IRL gaming?
I'm just curious if you're doing anything in particular.
I mean, right now I just kind of like just peeping through Twitter and stuff while I've been podcasting.
I gotcha. Out here surviving.
Out here on that grind, trying to get those sick retweets.
Hell yeah, dude.
No.
Twitter grind is real.
Yeah.
Speaking of Twitter, where can the people find you?
You could find me on Twitter at Biglaw_. I'll post many good tweets like me talking about Magic the Gathering and complaining how winter is totally freaking weird. Yeah, find me there on Twitter, and on Twitch is just twitch.tv/Biglaw. And I'm also on YouTube. I don't have a custom URL, so you just gotta look for Biglaw, and hopefully you find me.
So
It's the one with speedruns on it, I assume.
Yeah, you'll probably find some Fable stuff on there. I uploaded a pretty bad Portal speedrun. I'll upload better Portal speedruns in the future. So in the meantime, just be content with that. But
fingers crossed.
Yeah, you could find me at You Got Mad, as always, on Twitter, or Squid_Bird on Twitch, or just SquidBird on SoundCloud. And you can find CC.
Find me at CCNeverender on Twitch and on Twitter and YouTube, everywhere. I have brand synchronicity. Synchronicity. There we go. I'm like, there's something missing here. I have a brand that's everywhere. But you can also, like, right now I'm hosting the Snap tournament. We just did our exhibition matches today at the time of recording. We had 3 matches, and two of them were very hype. One of them was interesting. But on the weekends, you can find it on my stream. Should be really, really exciting. $250 prize pool.
And speaking of tournaments, the epic 16-star no LBLJ Squid Invitational is approaching semifinals, and that'll be happening soon. I've been uploading all the VODs to YouTube, most of the VODs. So if you're interested in seeing some of that, you can find it on YouTube. Just type in SquidBird. I also don't have a custom URL, but yeah, it shouldn't be too hard to find.
Yeah, funny tidbit about my YouTube channel URL is that it contains the phrase "ew, gay, no," which is kind of strange. I'm not even joking. I'll just post it in here. You can laugh at it.
Oh yeah, that's definitely in there.
Ew, gay,
You
no.
gay, no. WXNH.
Or it says
uck.
It also, you could also read it as "Pew Gay Now."
Subscribe to PewDiePie.
How's
All
it
right.
going, bros? But yeah,
I always forget you can do really good impressions.
but yeah, thank you, Biglaw, for hanging out with us. It was a pleasure talking to you, dude.
Hey, no problem, man. It's always a pleasure to talk to my boys, SquidBird and CCNeverender.
Dude.
Take it easy.
All right, Biglaw. And away we go.
Cut.